Hello everyone, it's a great day and it's fantastic to see you. So today's actually a very special day for me, and let me tell you why. Today is the first day that I'm actually transitioning my channel to start discussing more meaningful topics. I'm really excited about what it could do for me, about what it could potentially do for you, and the potential conversation that we all end up having. So tell me this, where do you think the best place to start a journey of this would be? Well, I was a little bit unsure of that myself until a couple of days ago. So it was my lunch hour and I got on the tubes of YouTubes because I can. And I started scrolling through videos. And because he's so big and really good at what he does, I came across one of Casey Neistat's vlogs titled, "This Was a Bad Idea." I went ahead and clicked the link and started watching it. And then all of a sudden he said this.
Like on a daily basis, I wrestle with like existential thoughts. Like, what is the point? What is the universal North Star? What's the one thing we're all chasing after? Like in my heart, I genuinely think that one thing that we're all pursuing in life is happiness. Happiness is the point. Happiness is the ultimate accomplishment. It's what we all want, or it's at least what we all should want. Happiness.
After I finished watching the video, I had one thought come to mind.
Really?
That's your North Star? That's your all-encompassing guiding principle of life? Now, before I go any further, I want to make it abundantly clear. This is not a hit piece. I don't hate Casey Neistat. In fact, I actually really respect him. I mean, as far as I know, I've never met the guy, but from what I've seen, I respect his work ethic and the type of work that he's able to produce. And I also want to thank him for bringing up these types of topics. Not a lot of people discuss the existential crises of life because it's a really difficult topic. So let's break it down a little bit. Now, I think one of the best places to start is talking about our common ground. For example, I don't disagree with the statement that people seek out happiness. And I also don't think happiness is a bad thing at all. I like happiness. I mean, I can also understand how Casey probably came to this conclusion as well. If you find something that gives you a good feeling on the inside, why not spend your life pursuing that feeling in order to find more and more of it? Do the thing that makes you happy. It gives a nice sense of freedom for each individual to do the things that they want to do without the constraints of society or other people saying, no, you can't do that. So why don't I agree with him then? Well, to put it bluntly, I don't believe we're all chasing after happiness. I believe we're chasing after something much deeper, but I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But let's start here. Let's discuss the problems with having happiness as our central leading guiding principle in life. So first and foremost, happiness in its most basic definition is simply put emotion. Now here's the problem. Emotion is something that is constantly in flux. It's produced by the environment. Therefore, emotions, just like our environment, are always changing. Can you see where the problem starts to develop? It's a chasing after the wind. I mean, it's practically a fool's errand when you really think about it. Let's wrestle with this at a more personal level. What do you do when the very thing that used to bring you so much happiness all of a sudden is devoid of it? Let's take a job or a project for instance. You start this job off and you're super excited for it. You find so much happiness in waking up morning after morning after morning to go to this job because you absolutely love it. But then you have a change in boss, and this boss is not as friendly as the last boss, and quite frankly makes your life a living hell. All of a sudden you start noticing that going to work has become something that much more difficult to do. So what do? Do you just quit? Do you just abandon your post? Do you walk away from the adversity? I'm willing to bet that you actually wouldn't do this. And I think we're starting to see one indication as to why happiness isn't really a good principle to live your life by. Now, I could also hear someone say, well, I mean, I'm staying in it because there's happiness to be found at the end of it. To which I say, fair point, but then what do you do with the person who has to work to survive? This is the person that doesn't get to do what they want when they want. This is the person that has to do what they're told to do because they're not working for happiness, they're working for their next meal. I think it would be fair to utilize Maslow's hierarchy of needs in order to support this point further. What you find at the top of this pyramid is self-gratification. But guess what? You can't get there without having the rest of your needs taken care of. We need food, we need shelter, we need places of safety. So then following this line of thought, what do you tell to the person who doesn't have their freedoms and who's relegated to following the regime? Someone in a totalitarian society. Now before I go too far down that trail, let's talk about another example. Marriage. Let's say you get married. It's a beautiful scene. Family and friends are there and your happiness is at its peak performance. I'm following this person because they make me happy. And at first everything's great, but then all of a sudden things start to happen and your happiness level starts to leave its peak form and starts to decrease. What reason or buy-in would you have to stay in the relationship? And I think we can currently see this in action as we see how high the divorce rate actually is right now. People think to themselves, this person used to make me happy, but I don't feel that anymore. And I deserve better than that. I deserve a happy life. I shouldn't have to stay in a marriage that doesn't make me happy. And as a therapist, I then treat the wounded of this type of philosophy. People are hurt. It's just this nasty cycle of destruction that follows, all because someone said, I'm not happy enough in this. Happiness by nature is completely subjective, which also then means that it's completely egocentric. It's all about me, 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 me. I want what makes me happy. And when it's all about me, seeking happiness doesn't leave any room for altruistic acts, because when doing something altruistic, you are intrinsically putting your happiness at risk for the sake of someone else. In a world where happiness is the reigning supreme principle, what you then find is people only trying to protect their own happiness. And if anybody infringes on that happiness, war breaks out. And I mean, I see this plenty of places in our own society. Look at the corporate fat cats that are protecting their own wealth, or corrupt politicians that are securing their own power and dominance. It feels so wrong and messed up, but if happiness is the guiding principle, why wouldn't they do that? Now let's think about one more thing. What about people who have spent their lives chasing their guiding principle of happiness and they actually catch it? Let's think about the athlete who just won the Super Bowl. I'm going to Disney World! Or the laborer who works their way up the corporate ladder and manages to become the CEO of a very powerful company. Isn't it interesting that when these people are telling their stories back, a large majority of them say that they found a soul-crushing emptiness? They sought out their happiness. They lived their dreams, but it all came down to nothing. Their trophies or their high positions were completely void of happiness. Truly chasing after happiness for its own sake leads to meaninglessness. Now those are just a few of my thoughts, and I have more criticisms of it, but I'll leave it at that. But these are the reasons when I hear someone say happiness is the guiding principle that I kind of shudder on the inside. So I said earlier that I was going to give you my answer to it, so here it is. I don't think that we're chasing after happiness. I think that we are instead searching after meaning. How does this time travel thing work? Oh, hey, so really quick, I was going to go into why meaning is more important than happiness, but then I realized I had just been talking for way too long. So instead, I'll stop it here, and then I'll make another video that follows this one that'll go more in depth about meaning and why that's important for us. All right, I'll get you back to me in the past. Future. What if, I don't even know, see ya. So Casey, if you are for some reason watching this, I'd be very curious to hear what your thoughts are. And for everybody else that's watching, one, you're equally important. And two, what are your thoughts on this? What parts of this do you agree with and what parts do you disagree with? I really do want to know. It's an important topic. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this type of content, would you consider subscribing? I'm going to be discussing these type of topics more and more as we go on to the future. And I would love to have you join this conversation. All right, folks, well, that's all I've got for now, so I'll catch you guys on the flip side.